Comes from Dean Heating and Cooling, keeping homes cool all summer with Tempstar. Dean Heating and Cooling provides HVAC service and installation in the Athens area, featuring Tempstar quality you can feel. Additional support from Donato's Pizza, featuring pizza, subs, salads, and catering from their Athens location at 688 East State Street. Information at donatospizza.com or 740-592-5049. Support comes from O'Neill Hartman Insurance, a full-service, third-generation, locally owned agency focusing on building personal relationships and providing professional service to individuals and businesses. Information on the web and on Facebook. Support comes from Ohio's 529 College Advantage, helping families save tax-free for college and career training nationwide for 35 years. Information on Ohio's 529 can be found at collegeadvantage.com/Bobcats.
Tonight on Gridiron Glory, the top teams in the MSL Buckeye face off as the race for the conference crown heats up. Plus, how the Eastern Eagles honor a fallen member of their family every time they step on the field. And in our game of the week, Fairland and Portsmouth collide in a grudge match with big OVC title implications.
All that and more because Gridiron Glory starts right now.
Tensions are rising across Southeast Ohio, and so are the stakes. Welcome back to Gridiron Glory. I'm your host, Haley Hollinger, and we're going to have a sneak peek at our game with reporter Lucy Schaefer. She's live on the banks of the Ohio. Lucy, how's it going?
Yeah, guys, you do not want to miss this OVC thriller, one of the most exciting games I have ever seen here in Southeast Ohio, with a shocking end that you won't ever believe. So stick around with us so I can break down all of the action with you here together later on.
Thanks, Lucy. And kicking us off this evening, a face-off between the Logan Elm Braves and the Bloom Carroll Bulldogs to see who's sitting in the driver's seat of the MSL Buckeye. And signing on with more is MSL reporter Charlie Ehlenfeld.
Thanks, Haley. Bloom Carroll has owned this matchup in recent years. The Bulldogs have taken the last 8 matchups, but it wasn't always this way. Before Bloom Carroll's streak, Logan Elm had taken 8 straight from the Bulldogs. So is tonight the night the Braves flip the script on Bloom Carroll? The sun was not down, but the stars were out in Carroll as the Logan Elm Braves traveled to face the red-hot Bloom Carroll Bulldogs at Carl Fell Stadium. After a muff punt, the Bulldogs were in business as Thanthanovan cycled through his progressions before finding Jude Blair, who makes a man miss. Bloom Carroll 7-0. Already behind, Walters heaves up a prayer and only finds Bastian Ovali. Let's speed this up as Ovali races down the sideline and the Bulldogs are bearing down on the goal line once again. Thanthanovan gets the ball and keeps rolling, and he tucks it before juking a guy out of the soles of his shoes, finishing the run by tiptoeing down the sideline. That is what you call a finish with flourish. BC leads 14-0 in the second. Blair got the rock again and lowered the shoulder, and the two-headed monster of the Bulldogs had one more trick left in the first half. Bo Sherman gets the ball, and even though the Braves met him at the 10, Sherman marched to the C and into the end zone, cementing a dominant first half. Bloom Carroll earned a resounding 41-14 victory over Logan Elm.
So it was all Bloom Carroll all night long, and that was the 9th straight for the Bulldogs.
The Braves really had no answer for the incredible depth of the Bloom Carroll roster.
Yeah, I mean, there was one man the Bulldogs defense did have an eye on tonight, though.
And for good reason. Michael Bach has been a force all year, but tonight the veteran defensive line of Bloom Carroll kept him wrapped up. Coach McKinney said before the year this was going to be their strength, and they just passed their toughest test.
I heard the Braves caught the turnover bug tonight, though.
Yeah, a muffed punt and interception we saw earlier were detrimental to any chances for the Braves. If there's one team you cannot afford to give more chances, it is the Bulldogs. Both turnovers immediately resulted in touchdowns for Bloom Carroll.
Yeah, and the Bulldogs dominated across the board. We've been talking about that, but there was one person that shined particularly.
Yeah, Ethan Thanthanovan was his usual self, and that was more than enough tonight. 4 touchdowns, 2 through the air, and 2 on the ground led the way. He found everybody. Carderas, Stevenson, and Hutchinson. That arsenal is any defensive back's nightmare, and the Braves are no exception.
How about that duo at running back for Bloom Carroll?
How about them? I'd love to call Bo Sherman and Jude Blair thunder and lightning, but it's really thunder and thunder. get ready to get hit. These guys put their shoulder down and drop the hammer on linebackers. There's simply no answer in short yardage for opponents. That group travels to Region 11 powerhouse Bishop Hartling next week. For now, it's all Bloom Carroll in the MSL Buckeye.
Thanks, Charlie. And we're actually going to go ahead and take a look at those standings. As we just talked about, Bloom Carroll gets the win and they take the outright lead in the conference. Logan Elm falls to second. Hamilton Township still sits in third after their big win over Circleville. Fairfield Union is in fourth. Amanda Clear Creek is fifth, their fifth win out of conference loss. And with losses tonight, Circleville and Liberty Union are tied for sixth. The OVC isn't the only conference playing with high stakes this evening, though. The SOC is right up there with them, and tonight Valley and Portsmouth are bringing the heat in the SOC. We welcome reporter Josh Herner for the latest.
The Valley Indians are coming off their first win of the season against rival Northwest. And with Portsmouth West getting their second conference win of the season last week, these two teams are looking to keep momentum on their side. An important in-conference contest had the Senators prepared and ready for this matchup. On Valley's first drive, Aiden Wattell finds his man Braxton Conaway, and he's going to break one tackle and finish this play off by himself, taking it all the way to the end zone. 7-0 Valley with 8:19 left in the first. Next drive for the Senators, Brody Hall finds Mason Parker out of the backfield on the wheel route, and he's heading in untouched. 7-6 Valley heading into the second. Aiden Wattell uses play action and hits his man Zach Witt in the flat for a big-time catch and run, moving his team inside the 10-yard line. Witt's heading up the middle on the dive, and the extra effort is worth 6. 14-6 Valley. Next drive for Portsmouth West. Paul drops back and fires it to the wrong jersey. That's Braxton Conaway coming down with the interception and room to run, moving his team all the way into the red zone. The possession switch would lead to this. Aiden Wattell rolls right, reverses field, finds space, pump fakes, dives, and he's in for the score. 21-6 Valley heading into the second half. However, a strong second half from the Senators would lead to a massive 22-21 comeback victory. Portsmouth West keeps their foot on the gas, extending their winning streak to 5 after dropping the first 2 games.
Yeah, and it seems like the Senators are only getting better as the season goes on. And Portsmouth West has flipped the script after 2 losses to begin the year. So what changes did the Senators implement?
When I talked to head coach Todd Gillian this week, he told me after week 2 they went back to the basics on both sides of the ball. Stripped down the offense and defense they would be starting with at the beginning of summer practice and focus on all the small things that make a team successful.
And on the flip side, Valley's offense lit up the scoreboard last week. Were they able to get those explosive plays again this week?
They put up 21 points and cashed in on both their trips to the red zone. The massive 82-yard touchdown got the offense moving, but unfortunately, they were shut out in the second half.
Yeah, Josh, and Mason Parker and Anthony Bishop have been dynamic in that backfield. How is their impact felt?
Parker being the physical downhill runner and Bishop having the finesse to move in space make these two backs the perfect complement to each other. Both guys being crucial for the offense.
Yeah, and so how does the setup for the rest of the conference play affect the Senators?
The Senators head into matchups against Northwest and Oak Hill on a 5-game winning streak. The matchup that could decide the conference, Week 10 against Wheelersburg. With another Portsmouth West victory, a conference title is within the Senators' grasp as things stand.
Yeah, and I'm sure Valley's going to be looking forward to a chance to get revenge. So thanks so much, Josh. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the SOC2 standings. Portsmouth West and Wheelersburg remain undefeated in conference play with wins tonight. And Waverly's not far behind them with only 1 conference loss. Northwest gets the win against Vinton County. They sit in 4th. Minford, Valley, and Oak Hill all fall tonight. The Oaks are still looking for their first conference win. Now in Southeast Ohio, football is played for numerous reasons: the love of the game or the chance to make a community proud. It's no different for the Eastern Eagles. TVC hockey reporter Maddie Kiefer joins us now with more. Maddie?
Haley, the Eastern Eagles are all about family, and this season, the Eagles are honoring the memory of one of their own every time they step onto the field.
In late 2015 at Eastern, 9-year-old Wyatt Barber collapsed at a football practice and passed away on the field of East Shade River Stadium.
Wyatt was sitting on our helmets down there in that corner, and he just fell.
His death shocked a close-knit community, as it was later found that Barber passed away from an abnormal left main coronary artery in his heart. Barber would have been a senior playing for the Eagles this season, and according to his teammates, he would have been a force to be reckoned with.
He was one good player, really. He'd always hit hard, He was always hard at what he did.
To honor his legacy, his former teammates decided to go the extra mile. While speaking with Eastern head coach Jason Jackson about how they could further honor Wyatt, one idea stuck out to the group.
You know, on the side of your helmet, that's where your school mascot usually goes, or, you know, a slogan, something that is really special to your program or special to your school. It's your identity. And I said, how about we put number 56 on the side of our helmet, not on the back of the helmet? And they all loved that idea.
His number 56 jersey is also brought to each home game coin toss and has another meaning now. His younger brother, Levi, who is about to turn 11, wears his number in youth football. As for the future, Hunter Reed, one of Wyatt's best friends, has one thing to say.
I just hope they keep the number out. I really, really do. I'll be right here on the sideline with them every year.
We were in contact with Wyatt's mother, who says while she lost her son due to his heart, she knows he has saved lives in the process. Schools now have AEDs on hand and free EKG testing is available in the Reedsville community. It is clear that his legacy will continue to live on at Eastern. And tonight, with Wyatt's numbers on their helmets, the Eagles took on the #1 ranked team in West Virginia Division A, the WOUB White Falcons. These fans were so excited for the Battle of the Bridge, they made shirts. Let's get into it. After a WOUB touchdown, the Eagles wasted no time. Trayvon Bears finds a hole, and it's a foot race. Tie ball game 7-7. Eastern again. Cooper Barnett is in double coverage. Do you throw? Of course you do. That was nasty. And this is why you never look away from a kickoff. You can see exactly the moment the ref knows this is serious business. 90 yards to the house, touchdown, White Falcons. Eagles ball, but not for long after Connor Lambert goes airborne, grabs the pick, and runs to the 9-yard line. This would result in a touchdown one play later. In WOUB's next possession, bang, Connor Lambert breaks a man's ankles and gets into the end zone. Eastern was down 34-10, but not out. Cooper Barnett rolls left and throws to Gavin Murphy, who lays out on 4th and 9 for a touchdown. Unfortunately for the Eagles, they could not claw out the point deficit and lost this one 55-31. These two teams have explosive offenses, but if they want to keep winning, they have to tighten up their defenses. Haley, it was great to see these former TVC Hawking rivals reunite.
Absolutely, Maddie. Thank you. And Eastern and WOUB are no longer conference rivals, but that doesn't mean there wasn't other TVC Hawking play this evening. The Trimble Tomcats and Waterford Wildcats are now in the driver's seat in the TVC Hawking, but we will have to wait a couple of weeks before we see them face off. Eastern and Belpre are locked in a tie for third after both teams suffered a loss tonight. Southern sits in fifth after a loss, and they're still looking for their conference win. Keeping up with the TVC talk, let's make our way to the Ohio, where prior to this evening, 3 conference teams were undefeated, including Nelsonville York and Wellston. Reporter Ty Carpenter is now here to tell us all about it.
Haley, we've been talking all week about how pivotal this game is. Both of these teams have something to prove tonight as they fight at the top of the TVC Ohio. Both are 2-0 in conference, and with the opportunity to go 3-0, these two have had different formulas for success this season. Heading into the game tonight, Wellston's strong offense jumps out. The Rockets are scoring nearly 32 points per game. But in contrast, you got to wonder how they're actually going to stack up to a lockdown Buckeye defense, which has been holding their opponents to only 11 points per game. But enough with the speculation. Let's get into what we all want to see. First drive for NY in the red zone. We're getting some fullback action. Dakota Cunningham gets the rock and bullies his way in. Buckeyes up 6-0. Now Wellston looking to respond. They're going to turn to Seth Lambert. He cuts outside, cuts back in, trucking through defenders, making them silly. He's going to get loose for 43 yards into the red zone. Now that drive ends with a turnover on downs, but Wellston right back there again on their next drive. Johnny Scott drops back and launches it to the deep corner of the end zone, but it's picked off by Alec Thompson. Easy reads right in the bucket. That's a Buckeye ball. Later in the second quarter, it's pitched back to Austin Gautier, but wait a minute, he's throwing it instead, chucking it all the way down the sideline to Landon Inman, wide open, no Rockets in sight. He's going to walk in untouched. These Buckeyes are blasting off in Wellston, now up 12-0. And with only a few minutes left in the half, Cam Sullivan is going to push his way forward. They say he's in, but you be the judge. 18-0 at half as the Buckeyes went on to win 39-14.
So this late in the season with so much on the line, it looks like these teams left it all out on the field.
No kidding, Haley. This was a statement win for Nelsonville York, and with a game like this, we have got to take a closer look.
Yeah, and so we've been talking about Wellston's offense, but it looks like they had some struggles in this one.
Haley, it honestly comes down to missed opportunities. Wellston was able to move the ball to the red zone multiple times in the first half, but they just couldn't finish the job and came away with no points. and we talk so much about it, but we got to give credit to that Buckeye defense. They held Wellston to 0 first downs in the second quarter.
Yeah, that's impressive. And Wilson's got some serious weapons. So who stepped up for NY?
It felt like Landon Inman was flying across the field tonight. He was everywhere. Special teams, defense, even on offense. And that's without mentioning Alec Thompson, too, who had that crucial end zone interception.
Yeah, I remember that. And on the other side of the ball, NY's offense looked like they were in a groove tonight.
Yeah, while they started a little slow, it wasn't long before the floodgates opened. Austin Gauthier was ripping off gutsy run after gutsy run. I mean, Haley, he even had a passing touchdown. His threat on the ground opened up the rest of that offense and kept the clock moving. He was really integral to their win tonight. Haley, while Wellston may have lost tonight, with more conference games to be played, the TVC Ohio is still up for grabs.
Yeah, I'd say so. The race for the Ohio just keeps getting more and more exciting. Thanks so much, Ty. Now, there's some more TVC ball on the way and much more than that, but I'm not going to spoil digital host Donovan Varney's fun. Donovan, take it from here.
Yeah, Haley, I'm back, and I've got some more SEO football to get to and some standings to update for y'all, so I'm not going to waste any more time with it. Let's stay in the TVC Ohio and jump right in to the extra point. We'll start with River Valley and Alexander, and these guys were hot to go. From the very first play from scrimmage, you'll see Alexander's Isaac Waller beats one man and then 10 more, all the way up the sideline for a 62-yard touchdown to start the game. But Waller wasn't finished there. What's better than one touchdown? Two. Spartans up 12-0 on the Raiders, and Alexander would go on to get their first conference win of the season and third overall shutout, 40-0. A big week of games across the TVC Ohio calls for an updated look at the standings, so here we go. Alexander's win tonight bumps them up from last place to 5th, and while the undefeated Athens Bulldogs do remain at the top of the TVC Ohio, Nelsonville York is up there with them as well after some big conference wins today. Moving on, the Generals and the Electrics took the field for the 61st time tonight, and they wasted no time shaking things up. First play of the game, Philo is getting a strip sack here, but it's recovered by the offense. But don't worry, the Electrics will get their lick back and strike first. Talon Preston does the heavy lifting, and Philo's up 6-0 on the road. This Philo heave downfield just wouldn't be enough, and Sheridan would maintain their win streak against the Electrics, winning 21-6. We just saw how two of the top MVL big teams fared tonight, so let's see how this matchup shook up the standings. Sheridan's win keeps them at the top of the conference, with Tri-Valley still undefeated but only a game behind, and Philo's loss tonight has them tied for third with John Glenn at 2-1. Now popping over to the FAC, where McLean and Miami Trace went head-to-head tonight. The Panthers took a big lead early, and Evan Colgrove made sure it stayed that way. Miami Trace up 30-3 in the second quarter. And on the very next play, McLean botches their chance at revenge and fumbles the kickoff return. Panthers ball deep in McLean territory. Trey Robinette capitalizes on the good field position with a dart to Austin Brown, and Miami Trace keeps their foot on the gas, winning 44-10. And after that one, here's how the FAC has shaped up through Week 7. Miami Trace and Jackson are tied up at the top after both teams took dubs tonight, and McLean's loss has them tied with Chillicothe at the bottom of the conference, still looking for that first FAC win. And for our last extra point game of the night, we've got an SVC game between Unioto and Adina. And here's Jackson Zikafus on the opening kickoff. Goodbye. Defenders are flying around this dude, and he is flying in for 6. Later on, Cody Braden takes the pitch outside and lays a hit on the Adina defender. But this Braden guy has some more in the tank. He'll take the handoff up the middle and 2 defenders with him into the end zone. Unioto rolls by Adina 35-0. Now that does it for the extra point, but don't worry, Haley tells me there's still some more football to cover across the 740 tonight, so I'm gonna hand it back off to her so we can keep this train rolling.
Thanks, Donovan. Now the Shermans and the Warriors set the SVC stage nicely, so let's keep going with Piketon and Paint Valley. And there's no one better to help us break this down than reporter Zach Knight.
Thanks, Haley. Powerhouse is right. Paint Valley's been tearing through their schedule, and they're on a warpath to an undefeated season. They started off strong with 3 big out-of-conference wins.
And it looks like they've just kept things rolling through the SBC.
Yeah, this streak's gotten them on the AP rankings, landing at 8th in Division 6. The Bearcats enter tonight's matchup against Piketon with momentum on their side. Paint Valley was ready to defend Bearcat country and pick up another win on their road to glory. They got started quick. Fake handoff got the cameraman, but don't worry, we caught up to Jeremy King, who caught Preston Favre's pass and took it 75 yards to put him up 6-0. Later on, Paint Valley found themselves with the ball, and the Piketon defense closes in on Faber. He rolls out to the right, looking for an open man, calls his pass, and connects with Braylon Robertson, who pulls up a few extra yards for the Bearcats. Towards the end of the second quarter, Piketon got a big rush from Buddy Wilson, who charged down the sideline and started to turn the tide for the Red Streaks. That momentum didn't stop there. Wilson's back after a pass from Luke Gullion. He finds just a little bit of wiggle room, and with some help from a flag, Piketon is knocking at the door. A few plays later, Tyler Gullion finds a hole in the defense and takes it himself, putting the Red Streaks up 7-6 heading into the locker room. Piketon managed to keep things rolling, shocking the SVC and winning 13-12.
Yeah, Zach, Piketon is the first team to shake the Bearcats so far.
Yeah, Haley, they gave this team a run for their money, and the name of the game for them was defense. They may be called the Red Streaks, but tonight we saw them slow this game down. Paint Valley may have had an easy touchdown early on, but Piketon's defense was determined to make them work for it if they wanted to see the end zone again.
Okay, so this performance from Piketon didn't come out of nowhere.
That's right. They've shown time and again how competitive they are. The past 3 weeks, they pulled off a 46-0 win against Huntington, kept things close with Zane Trace, falling short by only 3, and they competed against Unioto last week. No small feat. The Red Streaks have been building momentum, and it was definitely on show tonight.
Yeah, I'd say so, but after this, what's next for Paint Valley?
Yeah, they'll have a chance to shake things off next week against Huntington, but they still have 2 of their most challenging games coming up in weeks 9 and 10. Week 9, they'll travel to Unioto, who has definitely hit their stride this season. They haven't lost a game since week 2, and now sit atop the conference. Then they'll finish their regular season against Zane Trace, who also remains undefeated in the SVC. This conference is really still anyone's game, Haley. There's still a lot of moving to be seen.
Oh, yeah, for sure. There's still a lot of football to be played, too. Thanks, Zach. And with that, let's go ahead and take a look at those standings. Unioto and Zane Trace, well, they're tied for first. So this is going to set the stage for a monumental game next week. Paint Valley, on the other hand, they're going to drop to third with their loss, and Piketon's going to move up to fourth place in the conference. Adena, Westfall, and Huntington are locked in a 3-way tie for fifth with a 1-3 record, and rounding out the SVC is Southeastern. For this week's Fan of the Week, we went out to Portsmouth. Everyone was extremely passionate, and I think that I can now safely say I know what being a Trojan means to these fans.
You would just say one thing to Fairland right now, what would you say? We slayed your dragon!
And we're gonna send you home, yes sir!
Be scared! What did you just do with that tire, man?
Lift it.
Can you do it again?
Well, that was, yeah.
Okay, let's go lift it.
We can see what we can do tonight, and I love Portsmouth Trojans. The best way we to the Coliseum in Portsmouth, Ohio.
Okay, don't hurt yourself, please. All right. Oh my gosh. Do you just like do this for fun? Oh yeah. What is he training for? Tim, you got to sign this too.
Your first name and last name.
Okay. You just do that all the time?
No, anytime I see your tire, I'll just lift it.
All right, rock on, dude. Now we're in the Trojan student section, so you guys think that Portsmouth is going to win tonight?
Oh yeah, no doubt.
No doubt.
We never have doubt in our Trojans.
We're going to keep going. What are you training for, man?
Just football.
I'm going to go ahead and give it to you individually. You are Gridiron Glory's Fan of the Week for being so awesome. I mean, you embody it.
Yes, sir!
Well, thanks so much for hanging out with us. We had a ton of fun with you all. And that brings us to our game of the week, Fairland and Portsmouth. The last time these two saw each other was in the playoffs, where the 15-seed Trojans avenged their regular season loss against second-seed Fairland. The last time these two met, Chase Highland took the Dragons by storm with his record-breaking 4 touchdowns and 379-yard performance. Fairland's Peyton Jackson threw for 369 yards, but the Trojans still won out 50-38. And coming to us now live to discuss the rematch is OVC reporter Lucy Schaefer. Lucy?
Haley, this game has been highly anticipated since that playoff game that you were just talking about. The Trojans and the Dragons are tied for #1 in the conference right now, outscoring those opponents by 222 points. But none of that matters now, so let me take you to Trojan Coliseum in Portsmouth. So one of these teams was going to walk away with their first conference loss, and after that playoff game last season, the Dragons were definitely looking for revenge. Now, getting into the action, there wasn't much in the first half. Both teams have the top defenses in Division 5, and it showed. That was until Fairland stormed down the field with a little over a minute to go. Ethan Wall to Jack Hayden for an 18-yard reception, finally getting something on the board. But stay with me. The second half is one you'll want to stick around for. First drive for Portsmouth, and it's Chase Highland in for 6. Trojans on the board at last, and it's 8-6 Fairland. The Dragons turnover on downs, and Portsmouth is back in the red zone. Looks like a little miscommunication there, but that's no problem for quarterback JT Williams. He puts Portsmouth ahead by 6 with a successful 2-point conversion. We're now halfway through the fourth quarter, and the Dragons need to respond. They need to get down the field quickly, and Ethan Wall sees Connor Black diving for that score. 2 points to conversion was unsuccessful to tie the game at 14. 5 minutes left in the game, and the Trojans get the ball back. Chase Highland leading the charge. This nice catch by Landon Malone sets the Trojans up to barrel into the end zone. This gives them the advantage 21-14. Fairland has under a minute to get all the way down the field, and here it is. First play, Jack Hayden with that huge catch. We have a little under 2 seconds left, and last call for Fairland. Wall downfield looking to Hayden, heaving it up, and that's a pass interference on Portsmouth. 1 play left and no time on the clock. Wall looking again. This time it's Keegan Smith into triple coverage, tying this game at 21. An unsuccessful 2-point conversion is replayed because of another Portsmouth penalty, and this time the Dragons get it right. Fairland takes this one in an absolute thriller, 21-22. 22-21. And Haley, both these offenses are equally as special, but they're really different.
Yeah, I'd say so. Let's go ahead and talk more about what Fairland did to make them stand out against that high competition.
The Dragons have a lot of ammo in their receiving core with Jack Hayden, Keegan Smith, Connor Black, and even Cam Kitts, who mainly plays running back. Portsmouth mainly utilized Chase Highland, but Ethan Wall and his receivers definitely led this team and put them over the top.
So what went wrong for Portsmouth?
Penalties, penalties, and more penalties. The Trojans left this field with 15 of those, 2 of which cost them the game. Let me show you again. Here's that pass interference that gave Fairland one last chance at the end of this game, and here is that 2-point attempt where the Trojans got a little sideline warning. Lots of mistakes they need to clean up.
And Fairland is looking ahead to Ironton next week. What do they need to do going into that game?
Obviously, there's a lot of momentum right now. This was a comeback game for the Dragons since they fell behind early in the second half. They need to keep that same urgency because Ironton will for sure be bringing that intensity. We talked about continuing to utilize all players, and the Fairland defense will have to be on top of it. They're running the best defense they've had since 1985, and they will have their biggest test next week. And Fairland will host those Fighting Tigers, and Portsmouth will stay at home to host OVC opponent Rock Hill.
Thanks, Lucy. Get back home safe. Fairland's win is going to shake up those conference standings a little bit, so let's go ahead and take a look at the OVC standings. Fairland gets their statement win and claims first place in the conference. Portsmouth is then going to fall to second because of that loss to them, and Rock Hill and Coalgrove are tied for third. The Hornets did have the week off, so this isn't as updated as everything else. Chesapeake sits in 5th. South Point will be sitting in 6th. And here's the Gallia Academy Blue Devils finding themselves in an unfamiliar spot. They're definitely not used to this at the bottom of the conference and still looking for their first win this season. All right, it's that time of the evening where we take a look at what our first string plays of the night are. Just a fair warning though, these are pretty insane. So without further ado, let's get started with play number 5. Bloom Carroll's Ethan Van Danenbaum looking for an open guy, but ultimately the ball is in his hands and he's got the power. A little juke step here, another one there, and that's Van Danenbaum putting the wings out because that is a touchdown. Let's keep it moving with play number 4, and this one's from Nelsonville York at Wellston. Buckeye Cameron Sullivan with a little step back, and he launches it to his man, Landon Inman. There's no one around, and I think I hear something. Oh, yeah, that's the house calling. Fantastic find by Sullivan, who better to finish the job. Kicking off our top 3 this evening is Adina, but I don't think anyone saw this or Sherman Jackson Sycophus coming. Sycophus with the return from almost Unioto's own end zone, and he decides to brave the turf and most importantly find every cap possible. There's no taking this guy down. He's determined, and it couldn't have paid off any better. Our number 2 slot goes to the Eastern Eagles. Ethan Edwards somehow finding green in a sea of red. His target, Cooper Barnett, who somehow snags the rock amidst the hands of 2 White Falcons. Our top play is from our game of the week, and let me set the stage. Clocked at 0, Dragons down 8, and here comes Keegan Smith getting in front of Portsmouth defenders to grab the ball and a tutty and a chance to win. Well done. Wow, what a week. from unexpected victories to conference races. I'd say we really saw it all. And those top 5 plays were fantastic. I can't stop thinking about them. And this regular season is winding down. There's still a lot of football left to be played, but we're definitely in for some more surprises. In the meantime, make sure to tune into our socials throughout the week, and we'll see you next Friday, because there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.
Support comes from Dean Heating and Cooling, keeping homes cool all summer with Tempstar. Dean Heating and Cooling provides HVAC service and installation in the Athens area, featuring Tempstar quality you can feel. Support comes from O'Neill Hartman Insurance, a full-service, third-generation, locally owned agency focusing on building personal relationships and providing professional service to individuals and businesses. Information on the web and on Facebook. Support comes from Ohio's 529 College Advantage, helping families save tax-free for college and career training nationwide for 35 years. Information on Ohio's 529 can be found at collegeadvantage.com/Bobcats. Additional support from Donato's Pizza, featuring pizza, subs, salads, and catering from their Athens location at 688 East State Street. Information at donatospizza.com or 740-592-5049.